Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner here with your boy Funky, aka Coach Kuji. We have some very special guests on today's overview of V2 for Kujira. Pragmatic Monkey is not here yet, but hopefully he'll be joining us soon. We have Ale from Auto Kujira, and I got to start off with some congratulations for filling the sale yesterday with Pilot. Very exciting days ahead, especially after you gave me the big walkthrough on Auto Kujira. Really excited to use it. Perfect timing. PM is here. So we're going to bring him up on stage. Pragmatic Monkey, which everybody, of course, knows from Manta DAO, and he was also on Coach's Corner. And then very grateful to have Amit join us today from Entropic. Big fan. Obviously, I know you had a lot to do with building Ghost, which is personally my favorite platform in all of Kujira because I love putting those assets to work. But yeah, today we're going to have a really interesting conversation and just kind of do an overview. It seemed like, there was comments after Hans did the initial interview with Vanessa that, some of the more technical aspects people had trouble, understanding, if you will. And so this will be sort of the V2 for dummies. If you're watching live on YouTube or on X, your comments will come into our StreamYard studio. So don't be afraid. We want to make this as interactive as possible, allowing those who are watching to actually ask questions, allow us to dive a little bit deeper, although admittedly, I will leave it to the experts. But we're just going to start off by sharing a screen and looking at the brand new kind of sexy Kujira Network website. And so let me just go ahead and get us over to that format. Hang on a second. Share screen. Yep. Window. So hopefully everybody can see us, and now we're along the side. Now, one of the first things that everybody is super hyped about, and admittedly, I just tried it myself, was the ability to create a new account with a passkey. And I should have waited. I didn't know how my iMac was going to react and how quick it would generate, but it was so blazing fast. I regret not doing it during the live stream so people could see how easy it was to actually just create a new account. And then so I seeded it with some just 10 Kuji tokens just to kind of show you guys some things. One of the first things that I noticed with V2 personally that I immediately fell in love with is this upper right-hand corner for the portfolio button. If you just click on this, it will show you your entire portfolio. Now, if it were my regular wallet, I'd have tons of the other assets here. But like I said, I just created this with a passkey. It was super easy. No need to write down any kind of seed phrase, remember any of that stuff. So it was really nice. And then I just took my wallet, my existing wallet, I sent 10 Kuji over. And this is the one thing that I loved so far about just the portfolio button. Thoughts from you guys? What do you have you noticed this? Do you look at the portfolio button a lot? Like I click on it on accident and I just find myself like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at, they added the new, cart token or whatever the case may be. So I love how you can see everything all in one place. What's your thoughts been like on just the portfolio for you guys?
Okay. Well, I start say I think it's very nice. It's much more streamlined. It's cool to be able to see everything in one glance. But I think what's notable here is you see the two icons at the top. It makes it also super easy to actually buy crypto or deposit crypto from other platform in a very, very streamlined fashion. So if you can just try to simulate it, and I think it's
that's a great point, PM. This is actually one of the other things I noticed. So not only, if you remember on V1, it would open new windows when you would go to a different part of the platform. And even when I was just playing around with it, I clicked on this buy crypto button and just how it's right there, all the major assets that people are used to, and you have the buy now button. And then of course, if you have some USDC that you've already deposited, super easy. This is what I've done, kind of old school, taking my USDC from Noble on Coinbase, sending it to Noble, and then just IBCing over to Kujira. But I love how this is all integrated and it's right there for anybody to just do right. And the other thing too, speaking of, these other buttons at top, when I was playing around with it earlier, like I was saying previously, you don't have to open a new window now. So when you just click on buy crypto, it takes you to, if I were here, it would take you to this screen, but you could take you to Fin if you wanted to look at the decentralized order book. But just going back to this, and it's so seamless. The swap itself will take you to the token swap. And of course, we also have the ability to swap tokens. I got to give a little shout out to Manta DAO with Manta Swap, of course. So because PM's here as a special guest, we have to give some love to that. But yeah,
thank you, appreciate.
No, but anything else that you guys want? So, admittedly, as I was sharing with them, this is all very new to me. I've been so busy with work, so I'm just kind of stumbling into a lot of the newness in V2. And so just if there are things that you guys want to talk, or if you're watching the live stream and you have specific questions about things you'd like us to cover in this hour today, please go ahead and drop those comments.
Yeah, I mean, I can start with a little bit of the philosophy behind this.
Sure, yeah.
And so I was discussing with Hans and with Dove and so on. And the idea here is that, people who are new to Kujira, they see all these product names and they get, kind of shell shocked. And the idea with Kujira V2 was that, first of all, you unify everything under one domain name and under the Kujira name. And now you don't have Kujira Ghost and Kujira Fin and Kujira Orca and so on. I mean, you still have these names referenced somewhere. But on the site, what you really see is you see buy, you see earn, you see swap, you see trade, you see lend, and so on, right? And that's basically the most important part of this, is that now, as a newcomer, and if you've got a wallet on Kujira, which is really easy. Honestly, I think we might be able to demo creating another passkey wallet, but we can do that in a second. But as a newcomer to Kujira, you'll be here with your, I don't know, your USDC in your wallet. You'll be like, what can I do with this? And before, you would have to do a little extra research to figure out, Ghost does this and Orca does that. But now you have that top bar with all the actions, just like, their labels are right there: stake, lend, liquidity pools, and so on. That's like a perfect description of what is actually the app, what the app is actually doing. And we're also just doing this all under the Kujira name. So when people talk about, lending rates on Ghost, now they're saying, if you lend on Kujira, you get some 20% interest return on your USDC. And that immediately gives people, the name of the project, how do we get to Kujira, and so on. So big thing there. And then obviously with passkeys and reunifying this all under one website, it becomes even more seamless. So a little bit of the, I hope I have not butchered this to Hans and Dove and so on. A little bit of the context behind a lot of these changes, and obviously working towards a very much more cleaner UI and unification. Yeah.
You are on mute.
You're mute.
Yeah.
Sorry, gang. One of the things I noticed too is the Orca alerts. If you click on them and you click on the asset itself, it brings you again right to the liquidation market, so you can jump right in. And so one of the things that you said, Amit, that I really am going to work on moving forward is I will personally stop referencing some of the individual dApps by their names and just talk about Kujira holistically, because ultimately that's what I have fallen in love with when it comes to Kujira. We've always been clamoring for a single chain to have everything that we need for DeFi solutions. And to me, this is what, Kujira really does best. So we have 66 people already watching the live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching on X, please go ahead and repost the stream, share it so others may see it in case they don't know about it right now. Of course, it'll stay in perpetuity on YouTube, and then it'll live. I'll put it in my highlights on X too for these episodes. But I'm curious to hear from Ale. Like, I know you were also, kind of confused about some of the things. Did you have specific questions, or were there parts that you were wondering about in particular?
No, first of all, I totally agree with Amit. This design is really good. It's really easy to find stuff, and it's really well thought for humans. I mean, it's really easy to find stuff by their name, all in just one place. You all know that I love that. We are doing something like that in Auto. But I think we must talk a little bit about what's underneath this beautiful UI, right?
Ooh.
I mean, what about USK V2, Vogue V2? Because we all know something, but I personally didn't knew everything about this. So please share your knowledge with us for dummies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is where PM and Amit come in, right? Because they're the ones that are the experts who know a little bit more about this. Do you guys want to begin anywhere in particular to kind of unpack some of the nitty gritty of V2?
Yeah, so I think just to start off as like kind of a disclaimer of sorts, V2 in terms of like the products are different from V2 in the UI. Kind of all arriving at the same-ish time. We got the V2 UI and the unified interfaces and everything. And at the same time, we announced Bow V2 and USK V2, both of which are in their own regards like big overhauls to the underlying protocol. I think PM knows a lot about USK V2 because I was discussing this with him in person in the Awesome Wasm hackathon. But basically, I think we could start there if you think that's a good idea, PM.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the best place to start.
Yeah. So as a kind of context for USK, right? We have a in-house, totally decentralized stablecoin on Kujira that works as a collateralized debt position. And in simple words, what that means is that you deposit some asset as a collateral. So, for example, you can deposit ETH or BTC as collateral and borrow against that. And by borrow, I mean mint. Sorry, mint USK against that up to a specified safety limit. I think for most assets, that's currently 40 or 50%. So, for example, if you put in $200 worth of BTC as collateral, you may be able to borrow up to 100 USK against it. And sorry, mint 100 USK against it. And the USK peg is then kept stable by the minters being incentivized via market kind of rationality to buy USK when it's under the peg to repay their loans or their mint positions on the cheap, or to sell and mint USK and sell it when it's over the peg. And those kind of incentives to keep the peg close to that $1 mark are very real. They'll keep the peg within a couple cents of that $1 mark, but they're not hard incentives, as in like if you don't do this, something really bad will happen to your collateral. So to keep the peg at very close to $1, so within, let's say, a couple fractions of a cent, instead we rely on a liquidity pool on Bow. And Bow is the automated market maker that works on top of Fin, the order book exchange that we have. And the idea there is that we have a stable swap algorithm that concentrates a lot of the liquidity right near that $1 mark. So as long as there's enough liquidity in Bow, the peg will be very tight near that mark. And once the liquidity in Bow starts to deplete one way or the other, then the usual USK incentives come in and keep the peg, keep the soft peg. And so one of the things that we've noticed recently and we've all seen is that USK is actually below peg, not by much, I think within 1 or 2 cents, but still we're seeing the soft peg in action and we'd much rather see the hard peg. And so we've obviously been brainstorming ways on how to improve that and at the same time how to improve capital efficiency. So making it possible to make a USK not require as much collateral backing it. And so one of the solutions there is integrating USK with the existing lending market, Ghost, and making it so that it all works as one system. And the idea there is that right now you can mint USK at a flat 1% interest per year. which is a very generous kind of offer to minting positions. It's a very lucrative thing to do for people. Like one of the most simple DeFi strategies you can do on Kujira is take ETH as collateral or staked Ethereum via Lido, and you earn interest on your collateral because it's a liquid stake token, but you also mint USK at 1% interest and deposit that USK into Ghost. And that's a well, quote unquote, risk-free strategy that you can do to really maximize the return on your collateral right there.
Can I just interrupt real quick, Amit, because this is so spot on for my experience. Like when I minted my first Plucky Penguins and KP was trying to drag people, like I had no experience with Kujira. And then I have ETH, right? Like I'm an older, kind of more conservative investor when it comes to cryptocurrency. So like most of our portfolio is Bitcoin and Ethereum. And when I realized that, wait a minute, I can just bridge in ETH and I can just like lock some up and mint this token and get paid, a nice percentage. And that's exactly what I was doing because I just thought it was like a risk-free way to earn additional money. And do you mind if I ask a question about the soft peg versus hard peg thing though?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So you mentioned what would just happen recently where it was down maybe like 1 or 2 cents from off the peg. And we're going to try and prevent that with the V2 of Bo. But if it becomes a hard peg, is it going to stay right at $1 at all times? And then does that crowd out like arbitrage opportunities? Because I know like you, in your example, people were doing just that. Like, because if it is below peg and you're actively buying it, like say you're swapping USDC for USK and you're actually getting extra USK, you can pay off your loans for less and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But does that, when we shift to that hard peg, will that eliminate those kind of arbitrage opportunities altogether? Or will there still be some kind of wiggle room for people who are maybe moving large amounts of capital to still make that arbitrage trade?
Yeah. So by its nature, and PM, you can feel free to step in here, but the reason that we say soft peg is because any decentralized stablecoin is inherently a soft peg. To, I guess, expand upon the definition of hard peg, what we mean is that there's actual dollars backing every single like minted USDC, right? So Circle, the issuer of USDC, has actually locked up $1 in some bank account or some treasury bill or whatever they've bought. And so the peg of USDC is much more correlated to, the public's I guess kind of what do you call it? The
Trust in the banking
trust.
system.
Yeah, exactly. And that trust is a lot harder to break, especially when you're at as big of a scale and doing things transparently like Circle is. So we expect that USDC will stay within pretty much exactly at $1. On the other hand, USK is soft pegged because there's not actually one physical dollar behind every USK. There's actually, $2 worth of Bitcoin and $1 worth of Ethereum and a couple dollars worth of Atom or whatever, right? There's like this basket of collaterals behind the entirety of USK. And each of those has its own risks involved, and each of those has each person with their own minting position and so on, right? So depending on what the market is doing, the peg of USK will always be kind of floating around $1, and that's why we call it a soft peg. And the idea with USK V2 and with Bo V2 is to bring that soft peg to be much closer to that $1. And there's a variety of things that we can discuss when I get to how USK V2 actually works. But yeah, I think PM is best off to talk about Bo V2 because there's a lot of exciting things that Manta DAO, I think he has plans with Bo V2. But hopefully that answers your question. Yeah.
No, it does. Yeah. So ultimately there will still be some little wiggle room, like arbitrage. It's not going to be a perfect like $1 all the time hard
Right.
peg.
Yeah.
It's just going to close the gap between what we consider the soft peg now and the hard peg in the future with the USKV2. No, that was a great explanation. So I was just curious, when you were doing the describing. When I did open the window to Bo, but like when it did, my wallet, it still did is that because Bo hasn't been completely updated to the new V2 and it still opens the separate
Right.
window?
So I don't
Yeah,
quote me too hard on this one, but I think that we are looking to kind of revamp the design, the UI design and the UX of Bo. So like just taking Bo as it is and transplanting it onto Kujira V2 was, I think, like a subpar solution of sorts. So, in that eternal race for perfection, I think we decided to leave it as is. It's working fine, and then try to make a better kind of V2 of Bo that comes with the UI that is then integrated directly onto the V2 UI.
yeah. Just to reiterate, neither Bo V2 nor USK V2 are live for now. This is all just in the making. So,
Mhm.
and maybe just before we go on Bo V2, it could be good to maybe discuss a bit more about the mechanism of
Right.
how we get closer, because yeah, peg is probably the wrong word. It's better to, it's just trying to get closer to this $1 peg,
Yeah.
keep it tighter. And so yeah, maybe we can discuss that.
Yeah. So basically, the idea behind USKV2 is that we have, first of all, on the infrastructure side, we move to something that very much resembles Ghost in terms of the smart contracts are actually Ghost compatible, meaning that we can reuse everything that integrates with Ghost with USK. And so on the infrastructure side and on the kind of like developer side, it unifies everything. But on the mechanism side, what this allows is actually very exciting. It allows us to have dynamic rates for USKV2. So minting right now is a flat 1% rate. We can do something much smarter once we integrate with the Ghost kind of model. And dynamic rates are there to make stronger incentives towards minters and towards people who already have open positions to either buy USK when it's off peg or mint USK when it's above peg. And on top of that, the interest generated from USK will not actually be collected on the collateral. So right now, right now, if you mint USK against Bitcoin, you're paying 1% per year in Bitcoin. So if you have $100 of Bitcoin, after 1 year, you'll owe $1 worth of Bitcoin. And we're moving that to be kind of along the same lines as what you would expect with Ghost and normal lending borrow positions, that your interest is on your loan, not on your collateral. So if you mint $100 worth of USK, now you owe one more USK after a whole year. And the reason this wasn't possible before is if you think about the way that USK works, if there's 100 USK in existence, if you're the only minter of USK, then suddenly you owe 101 USK on your loan. Like there's that one USK that you owe, but simply doesn't exist, right? You can't buy it off the market because it just hasn't been minted. So the protocol kind of gets this insolvency in the form of this interest. With USKV2, we figured out a way to mint USK directly into a fee address. So this could be a treasury of sorts into a community pool for Kujira or into the fee address directly. And so when you owe interest, the interest you owe is actually minted into a wallet, and that keeps the kind of the insolvency of the entire system, the supply of USK. It keeps it all. What's the word here? Intact, right? So that means that after a year, you owe 101 USK on your mint position, but one USK has been minted into the market somehow, so into the community pool, and the community pool might have decided to sell it on Fin, right? To keep the peg. And the beauty of this system is that the minted USK from these from the interest on these positions can be put into anything, right? So let's say that USK is below peg. So this USK might have been used to buy USDC or buy Kuji beforehand, and then you can use the community pool that bought the USK to that bought the Kuji to sell Kuji for USK, or you can use that USK to provide liquidity to some pair, or you can use that USK to have the community pool bid on liquidations, right? Like this is just a normal wallet at this point. And so the entire USK protocol is now generating revenue that can be used as like a kind of that can be utilized in any way by the Kujira community, or the Kujira. You can think of it as the DAO behind Kujira. And so it really gives Kujira a lot more power. I'm not sure if I explained that 100% accurately.
I mean, I think I got the general idea behind it, what you were saying, Amit, because I was thinking, like, so in this theoretical wallet, for treasury or whatever, would it just be up to the community to put forth proposals, through governance,
Right.
to then use that to spend those funds in ways that are going to be advantageous for the whole ecosystem?
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use this mechanism to guarantee the peg safety, but also to give the ecosystem more agency, right? So by simply keeping that USK in that wallet and not giving it to the market, you're causing the debts on USK to increase, right? Like whoever has a mint position now owes more USK, but there's no more USK on the market. So naturally they'll have to market buy at a higher and higher price until we reach the $1 mark. And let's say USK is above peg at some point, then you can use that USK to sell back into USDC at a favorable rate. And just like that, you have a decentralized mechanism to really guarantee, or not guarantee, but to help guarantee that the peg is close or closer to $1. Yeah.
Okay, so I gotta just chime in real quick. So for one, we have 239 people watching right now. So thank you for those of you who are tuning in. I know we're coming into about the halfway point in our discussion on V2. If you haven't already done so, please share it. If you're watching on X, please just go ahead and like and repost. If you have questions, Finns, I know that you have something that you want to share, but I'm going to put that up on the screen when we get to talk about Bo. But this is really interesting because one thing that I find when I'm talking to people from other ecosystems, like this just happened the other day. One of my friends said something about, oh, Kujira, Terra Luna, and I'm like, wait a minute, hang on, time out. Like they're not the same team. They weren't ever affiliated. Like Orca was created as a DApp on Terra Luna, like at the very end. So I kind of ran through the history, and I think there's still this sort of, lingering, oh, USK is UST, and it is not the case. Like I immediately said, like, no, it is not an algorithmic stable coin. It is an over-collateralized stable coin using, I believe, the MakerDAO model, but just these tweaks that are being made to V2 with USK is incredible. Like, I mean, just the fact that we can now use this almost as like a treasury reserve, that will also, for the community pool, and then also help maintain the peg and get it closer to that dollar. Hats off for all of you guys who are involved in doing the USK V2, because I know it's not only just the core team. It seems like a lot of people, throw in their hands, and a lot of devs are doing important work. So thank you for everybody who was involved in this process up to this point. It's incredible to hear these things.
And I don't know if we want to go there, but I think the last point interesting to talk about V2 will be where there is still decision to be made. It's about the monetary policy, because then the question is, of course, like today, everybody loves being able to meet at 1%. I do that a lot myself. You do that a lot. Like I think most of us do that. What happens when the rate goes dynamic? And I think that's so it's still TBD. But for me, like I can share my personal opinion, and then it would be good to hear Amit's opinion. My view, and I had suggested that a while ago when we had the first DPEG, sustained DPEG of USK. I think what we want is make sure that we strengthen the peg as much as possible without entering the growth of USK as a whole. So we want to make sure it remains very attractive to mint USK. And for that, I think the smart way to do things would be to basically have a target rate, like central banks have a target policy rate. And ideally, like we would keep that at 1%, or maybe it's not 1, it's 2%, but something like fairly low that remain attractive. I think up to 2% is still like very, very competitive. And by the way, when we increase that indirectly, we are helping the world Kujira ecosystem, because now we double the revenue from this reserve, which you can use to build up some liquidity and do other things. But then, of course, what you want to incentivize is people to pay back their loan and reduce the supply when there is an excess supply compared to USDC. And so it all comes down to how much liquidity there is in this USDC USK pool. And so, like, for me, the best scenario would be that you have your target policy rate, and as long as the balance, like we could look at a long-term TWAP, like let's say like 12-hour TWAP or something, like not just 30 minutes, but like a bit longer TWAP for the price of a USK in the USK USDC pool. As long as we are within a certain band, let's say call it $1, 1 USDC plus minus 0.05 or something like that TBD, we keep this very attractive rate for USK, and people are incentivized to come, deposit their collateral, mint, and we grow the supply, and hopefully a big share of that stay in the Kujira economy. It should, especially if we are still above peg. When we start to go below peg, is usually because people have been minting and then selling for USDC and off-ramping that or moving that to other ecosystem. So actually that kind of force this big share of the supply to stay on the Kujira ecosystem, or it forces us as a community to expand USK beyond Kujira ecosystem as well. That's the other way, probably for a longer term view, but that's the other solution to help mitigate that. And so, but as soon as your TWAP goes below this $1 minus whatever tolerance band, you start to hike the interest rate. And you hike it, like you can make the hike fairly aggressive, like every 12 hours or something like that. You hike it by 1%, or like you hit something that is really dissuasive. Like, because if you really want, you use that as a mechanism to contract the supply when there is an excess of supply compared to demand, then you need something that really incentivizes people to stay it in the peg. And so then we all become a bit of a chicken game. Some people may be willing to bear the higher interest for a bit, but some people will mechanically at some point, as it keeps increasing, there is a boiling point where the frog wants to get out of the water, and you start repaying some of your debt. And I think that would be the best of both worlds. Like you have a very attractive minting rate whenever things are good, and whenever we have a prolonged depeg, then you start to hike fairly aggressively to make sure market is forced to do what it's supposed to do.
So that's incredible. And because now I can, just hearing that description, it makes me think a lot of like the underlying mechanism of Ghost itself, right? Like how the demand is going to drive the interest, based on how much people, how much is available, but what I'm wondering, and I know this is still TBD, but just a question as you were speaking, PM, I was thinking about, is the interest rate that you've minted the USK at, let's say like we're in one of these periods where we've depegged a bit and maybe the interest rate's now 3%. Do you lock in at that rate when you actually mint your USK, or will the variable interest rate on the USK also dynamically change based on market conditions?
It will be dynamic, and that's how it would work. Like up to you cannot have fixed. If you start to fix parameter, if you have fixed interest, it becomes a very, very complicated mechanics to try to keep that. Okay. You will have to trench things in. No, it has to be dynamic. You by default, when everything is good and we are within this band, you get your fixed rate, and boom, whenever we deviate from the band, you go into floating, and then it starts rates start to increase. And basically what you are saying is very good. Like you mentioned the utilization rate on Ghost. Basically you can visualize it the same way. Like instead of having a utilization rate with a curve, like a band that goes from 0% to 100%, you get a price band with a TWAP, which is like your utilization rate, and a price band with an infinite cap at the upside because we don't care if USK go to $2. Great, we can meet more and collect the seniorage profits. But a band on the downside, and if we break this band, that's where you have your curves that start to accelerate the interest rate.
Right. Yeah. You can think of it as, instead of a utilization-based curve, it's a price-based curve on the price of USK.
Well, it's funny. Like, one of the things when I first, started doing Coach Kuji, one of the taglines I started using was "Be your own bank," because this is the thing I love about Kujira, right? Like, it has everything I need, the financial tools to do grown-up DeFi, as the tagline says. And when you were talking, so I always loved the tagline of "Be your own bank." I never thought that we were going to be our own central bank either, in terms of just like the issuance rate and trying to maintain. Like, when you said that, PM, I was like, oh, that's a new thought I haven't really thought about.
Effectively, it's what we are converging toward. Like, you need to have some sort of monetary policy, and the difference, however, with central banking as it exists currently, is that once we have a system where, as Amit was explaining, no matter what, it's not a fractional system, it's a fully backed system. So, and no matter what, there is always an equilibrium between the quantity of USK minted at inception, when somebody come and mint, plus new interests that are minted one for one when they accrue in the pool, so that you always keep this balance. Like, it's not like in central bank when we can just print out of nowhere with no reserve, nothing. So there's a big difference. Second big difference is everything is transparent. Which is great, because central banks, at the end, we just have to trust whatever they report on the M2 money supply chart with a 3 months delay versus reality is true. Like, nobody has no clue. Actually, they could just make up numbers. Like, who knows? Like, really, like, literally, like, we have no clue. So here it's transparent. And third point is we are in control at the end. It's all governance driven. So we can experiment, we can see what works, what doesn't work, as everything in blockchain, but we will be in charge of our own monetary policy. And this, by design, is already like sustainable because it's not fractional based. It's fully backed, and it's definitely like it makes sense that on many things we tend to converge back to what we have seen in the traditional world. The difference at the end is that fundamentally we do things much better. We improve, like, by order of magnitude what exists in the legacy system, and we do that by having everything transparent and enforced algorithmically, with any single individual able to make a unilateral decision to print $1 trillion overnight and send it to whoever they want to favor in the economy, and dilute the rest.
Yeah. And just to step in for a second, so one of the superpowers of central banks is that, and banks in general, really, is that they can clear debt really, really efficiently, right? So you could have, I don't know, millions of dollars of debt cleared by thousands of dollars of actual transfers. And the reason there is because, imagine, I owe you $1,000, you owe PM $1,000, and he owes me $1,000. Like, really, no one owes anyone anything here, right? Mm-hmm. And so in a traditional blockchain-based system, or you and your friend group, or you and a company that you own, a credit card company or whatever, you can't make use of the simple math behind all of this, that that everything is actually this system that you can just clear debt immediately. But now with USK kind of coming under the same umbrella as Ghost, the idea is that under the hood, they all use these tokenized debt positions. And this is different from like the CDP, the collateralized debt positions. By tokenized debt, I literally mean that the debt that you take when you mint USK, or the debt that you take when you borrow against an asset on Ghost, is actually a token on the blockchain. So on Kujira, we have these like long denomination strings, right? Factory / and then an address / and then a specifier or a name for that token. And we actually have factory / and then a ghost vault / debt. And that means that debt is just another token that can be sent, that can be kind of transacted upon. And it has to be handled especially, right? Because you can't just send someone debt, because you'd be giving them you'd basically be giving them negative money, which doesn't make sense. You can't do that permissionlessly. But because tokenized debt exists, and because now USK is joining this tokenized debt system, we can start thinking about things like debt markets and so on that are really interesting, where instead of selling, minting USK, buying Kuji, and then doing something with that, you could mint USK and then sell the debt that you have on that USK for a different debt. And instead of owing USK, maybe you owe Kuji now, and then you're simply like shorting Kuji, right? Or if you borrow against I don't know, BTC, and then you swap that debt for dollars, then instead of being out of, if you're borrowing BTC from the money market, right, from Ghost, you've borrowed BTC. If BTC goes up in price, then you're kind of screwed, because you have to pay the full price of BTC, because you owe one BTC. You don't owe like $50,000 or whatever, right? But if you convert that one BTC of debt to $50,000 of USK debt or USDC debt or whatever it is, then at the time of conversion, you kind of are locking in your debt. You're saying that, I don't want to use my BTC as the debt denomination. Instead, I want to use dollars. And so all these like more complex but very useful systems are all now possible. And now that they're possible, we can start thinking about ways to wrap them up into, actual useful and digestible products, which is, I think, the part that a lot of people miss, right? You have to make these into these like nice packaged products that normal people can use without having to understand like, financial mechanisms and monetary history and everything, right? So there's a lot of cool things that you can do with this whole system. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you were describing it too, like the thing I did not know, like this is all new to me. I had no idea that all that was happening under the hood. And to your point, no one needs to know, right? Like you just need to know the basics of like just doing your transactions on Kujira. So really incredible system. Every time I learn something new about what people have put into this chain and the way it's been architected, I think, and I'm choosing that verb very carefully, right? Because there was a lot of thought and a lot of planning into the model of these things. And now we're seeing this come to even greater fruition with the launch of V2. So I know we still have some time, and we have about 17 minutes left. PM, did you want to touch on Bo a little bit and talk?
I'll do that a bit quicker.
By the way, there's 370 people watching. I'm absolutely floored. It must be that they want to see you guys. You're the stars, right? Like, I mean, this is crazy. We have so many people watching. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you for those who are tuning in. PM, why don't you teach us a little bit about Bo? Do you want me to put Bow back up on the?
No need at all.
Okay.
First, let's take a step back and speak about the basic mechanics and layers of Kujira. So at the first layer, like you get Fin, which is the order book DEX, which allows anybody to come and put a limit order. I want to sell this asset and buy this asset in exchange at this given price. And that's great. A super efficient way to transact value when you have a set price. You can do like a billion of transactions at a given price without moving the market if you wish to, as long as you have a counterparty, of course. But usually, that's how traditional financial market works. Order books everywhere. But normally, because a lot of people come and have small transactions and just want to quickly do market orders, sell in and out of a position, what we call in the blockchain world swapping, effectively. You need a layer of intermediaries in the traditional financial world, which are called market maker, which are here to basically always provide you a bid and an ask in the order book, meaning like at any point in time, if somebody come and want to sell a reasonable quantity or buy a reasonable quantity of a given token, they will be given a price and they will be able to transact instantly. And so knowing that, the next product iteration once Fin was launched was to create Bo, which what is Bo? It's effectively act as an application that is a decentralized market maker for Fin order book. So it works on top of Fin, And what it does is effectively adding liquidity in the book, following a certain algorithm, and make sure that when people come and trade, if there is enough liquidity, they can go and buy and sell instantly. And what most of Bo has been so far is the traditional constant product AMM, which was pioneered by Uniswap. It's a XYK constant product. It's just like a way to distribute liquidity along a certain price curve. And both replicate that. But instead of having a continuous price curve as you do in a traditional AMM, there is a little interval into each, but because it's tailored for another book. So you can do really continuous pricing. And that's what the Bo is. Reality is that's one form of AMM. It's not the most efficient one. It's great for token with low liquidity in price discovery mode, where you want price to be able to move to the sky if it want to, or to the ground. Like that's good. But for a lot of assets, like especially more established assets with a lot of liquidity and high market cap, Bitcoin, ETH, and all those things, you have much more efficient ways to provide liquidity. And so one of the big innovation coming, because we spoke about Bo V2, but first we have a Fin V2, which is, this one is kind of is shipped already, not fully deployed, but you can already have the big innovation here, but which required a full rewrite of Fin, was Oracle orders, which effectively allow people to for the big pairs like BTC, where you have like very reliable, very large liquidity and reliable price source on other places. That means you can have a reliable price oracle, and then this Fin V2 allow you to put limit orders that are not based on a fixed price, but based on a fixed discount or premium to the current oracle price. And that means like every block, when the oracle price refresh, and there is a new oracle coming that will be refreshing much faster, the order you put in the order book is moving alongside the underlying market price, and that allow to create a whole new branch of strategies, market making strategies, with much more concentrated liquidity around the current price. And so you can start to do interesting stuff like layering strategies, still have some XYK strategy, and then on top of that have some Oracle-based AMM strategies, and the Oracle will start to trade against the AMM, the XYK AMM. And the beauty of that, like you have to understand then how LPs on Kujira make money. So in traditional AMMs like Osmosis or Uniswap, as a liquidity provider in a given pair, you make money by charging a fee every time there is volume. So it's purely based on volume, and this fee goes to the liquidity provider. On Kujira, it doesn't work this way. The fee, there is a fee on Fin. You have like a 15 bips fee for the taker order and a 7.5 bips fee for maker order when you put liquidity with a limit order in the book that is not instantly executed. This fee goes to Kuji stackers. And then for Bo, the way it works is that you make money as a LP, not based directly on volume, but based on volatility. Basically, the AMM, what it does with this XYK formula is like you set some intervals which define a distance between each price. And whenever the price move up, just like in a traditional AMM, you sell the asset that is going up relative to the other asset in the pair, and you sell it at a little premium compared to the price you bought it for. And whenever the price go back down, you buy it back at a slight discount to what you sell it for. And that's, you can think of that as a kind of a grid trading bot, effectively. That's what Bo AMM are doing, but grid trading that can be placed on an infinity grill, and that adjusts automatically over time with price movements. And you make money on the volatility and not on the volume. So volumes fees goes to stackers, Kuji stackers, and volatility profits from trading goes to LPs. And so when you start to be able to layer different strategies, you start to have a very nice mix of things, because like you still have your XYK, but whenever the Oracle trades with his own strategy, which is probably have a different return profile to the XYK, you allow the XYK to always get executed as long as the Oracle price move where the order we're supposed to move. While today we are losing a lot of volume because there is many time where price deviation is not enough for arbitrage bots to come from centralized exchange or other chain to make the move. Now we internalize all that, so you will need way less moves. I will be systematic wherever we have an Oracle based AMM. It will be trading against any other liquidity in the book. So that's already a big plus, because then both of them are making money with different strategies and they complement each other. It creates much more volume and much more fee for Kujira stackers. But the big innovation with Bo V2 is that the team is going to open source everything, and they are going to create an interface that's going to make it easy for a lot more people to be able, as they are going to try to make it as easy as possible. Like let's see how easy it is. But the idea will be like it will allow a lot of people to come and express different strategies and launch them as a vault. And all of this liquidity, the beauty of an order book is it will be layered on top of the XYK pool plus the Oracle-based AMM provided by the Kujira team. Everybody will be able to come and provide some custom strategy. Some may be much more opinionated. Some may be longer. Like you can think of a lot of stuff. Like I have personally some strategy I would really like to implement and do that under the MantaDAO umbrella. So I hope I will be able to use those tools. I'm sure I will find the talents to help me there. But it's super exciting. And all of that, it's all super like this Oracle AMM make it great, because it means like any other strategy you put with limit order as a set price should be hit every time the price of the Oracle goes there. And you can, on top of making those Bo2 pool open source and permissionless for anyone, or permission maybe by a governance bot, let's see, on Kujira, but very easy for everyone to launch. You can also add a performance fee and or a management fee.
Oh, wow.
And that means that it's very good, because it allows it allows two things. It allows like new protocols, like let's say a bunch of quant traders to come and launch their own vaults, and because they are able to make strategies that make consistent money, they will attract new liquidity. It allows also a protocol to do that. So I could totally see Auto Kujira launching their own vault at some point. At MantaDAO, we definitely plan to launch some vaults. But it's also allow every protocol, and that's something I was discussing earlier on the Unstack chat. So I don't know if you are following there, but basically it gives us tool for all protocol. You have to understand that this is a change of paradigm. It allows any project, and that's valid for Auto Kujira as well. Now that we had a successful launch, it allows everybody to internalize the profit from market making. So in the traditional finance world, you will have to pay a market maker that will be making money, and it will be a recurring cost for you. With Kujira and with also this beautiful tool, you can internalize that. And so my advice to any project launching a Kujira will be build up some protocol and liquidity, spin out. If you want to increase cash flow, you have two options. Spin out to Bo V2 pool with management fees, and set the fee address to the stacking contract distribution. You can set the fees to 0% if you don't want to, if you want to compound the size of the pool and don't want to leak out any profits. But you can also, like, as a complementary stream of revenue, of course, it's not your core business, but as a different source of revenue, set a small management fee, 1 or 2% per year, and start to stream out some of the profits coming from the volatility of your own tokens back to your stackers. And as long as the net trading profits from your market making is in average over a year, let's say, lower than the management fee you set, you still grow the overall size of your pool and increase your liquidity, while sustainably being able to increase cash flow to your stackers, which in turn should increase the profit to stackers, which when you increase cash flow to stackers, mechanically, assuming market demand a certain level of return, your price should go up. And then you can do some more tricks. That's the other thing I was discussing, to increase those volume and this liquidity and those trading profits. Instead of just pairing your token with, say, USK or USDC, just a stable coin. I believe everybody here and everybody in the community is in crypto because we believe in the superiority of crypto system. We are all fundamentally have a very bullish bias for BTC and ETH and many other crypto token but those two in particular versus dollar, because on one hand we have a finite supply or control supply expansion token, and on the other hand we have a system that needs to ever increase debase its currency, increase the quantity of currency to stay solvent. So mechanically over time, you get the price of ETH, BTC, any token that has a sensible monetary policy that increase relative to dollar. So knowing that, instead of just pairing your token with USK, also raise a bit of capital using your treasury fund to buy some ETH, to buy some BTC. Do that over time and create additional LPs with BTC and or with ETH. And this has some very nice effects, because also when you do that, so first,
PM, if I can jump in for a second,
yeah.
I think the headline really for Bo V2, the really exciting part is that so Orca was democratizing liquidations, right? Orca allowed anyone to bid on liquidations that are traditionally sealed off. And Bo V2 democratizes market making. And it allows anyone to become their own market maker of sorts, right? It allows anyone to become a market maker, to have an idea for a strategy and provide that strategy as something on chain. And we're even working on tools to keep those strategies, secret. Like these strategies are in traditional finance what all these hedge funds and these trading shops profit off of. So if you have a group of people who are interested in keeping their strategy private, they can set up a Bo pool, Bo V2 pool, and their strategy can be something running off chain on their own server that just submits orders to Bo or just submits information to Bo. And it's basically now created, market making as a service, and you can use that in so many different ways. As a protocol, as a DAO, you can have liquidity raising. You can use that in different strategies for different token types. So stable tokens are completely different from regular, speculative tokens, which are different from the relationships between like tokens and their liquid staking derivatives and so on. So all of this now suddenly becomes so much more possible, so much more accessible. It's really a paradigm shift. I think to the point about Oracle orders, the big headline there is Oracle prices are imported from other venues, right? So if you have an Oracle price, it's supported by the trading price on Binance, on Kraken, on Uniswap, on whatever exchange you have. And those exchanges have, huge amounts of volume, especially for Apex assets like BTC, like ETH. And by having an Oracle order system, you're importing that liquidity onto Kujira. And suddenly your trading price on Kujira is supported by the, billions of dollars of volume on other exchanges. And so that's really the most powerful part of the entire system. And that we can say is FinV2 for the purposes of tying it all together.
Well, I want to give a shout out real quick to Fins, because he was part of my FAFO first episode. He pointed this out about seeing liquidity on Bo, and I've seen this happen before. So maybe this is something that'll be eliminated, for instance, when V2 launches, where it'll just show everything. It's probably just some kind of minor UI bug.
Yeah.
But I at least wanted to give him a shout out. Thank you for watching, and thank you. We're now 425 people have been watching, and I know we're supposed to shut it down. But I also just, if you guys are okay, we can go a little bit longer than the hour, because I know Ale wanted to talk a little bit about Auto Kujira. And so I wanted to let him have the floor at the close of today's episode. No, he's like waving me on. He's like, nah. But PM was also the one who said,
I suggested that because I just think it was an incredible last 24 hours.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be just cool to get a bit of your...
you
now that it's all done and it was successful, your feedback and your story of how you lived through that and the ups and downs and all that.
Okay, guys, thank you. The idea here is that these two genius teach us a lot of stuff. I think it was great. I personally understood everything you said. I hope everyone listening also. And about auto, I just want to say thank you right now. I mean, it's been like a marathon. It was really hard, but it was successful, and it's all that matters. And then I will take my time to give feedback to to a lot of people. I have a lot of feedback. I already took my notes, so we have a lot of stuff to make better, I think. But people is great. The support was incredible from all the community. So I'm really, really, really grateful for what happened. That's it. Thanks.
Well, that may be the
I
perfect.
just want to say, like, personally, I'm super happy that it went through. Like, what
Me
you are
too.
building is, I freaking love it. Like, now it's my go-to page whenever I want to
Yeah.
view what's on the market for liquidation whenever we have a done price. And I'm super excited about the auto bidder and all the capabilities you bring on board and what we can do from there. So I really wanted to see you succeed with this sale, so you can continue to build and being good in your mind. And so I'm super happy. So congrats and well done.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you
I'll just
guys.
echo what PM said, and I just also I'm a big gratitude guy myself. So thank you for you guys taking the time out of your very busy day to, especially the people who are watching. Hopefully, you are new to Kujira and learning something about this incredibly powerful DeFi all-in-one chain ecosystem. But thank you to the guests, PM, Amit, Ale. Thank you for being here, for spending the time, for coming on Coach's Corner. I already have some interested parties and doing another Coach's Corner coming up. So we got a lot of builders who want to kind of showcase what they're bringing to Kujira, and I'm excited to share that. If I could do anything to add value to all the wonderful people I've met in Kujira, it's just doing something like this and having great conversations with incredible people like you. So thank you for everybody for being here today. We really appreciate you. And if you have any questions or concerns, please don't be afraid. Come into the TG chats, ask us. You'll find it's a very friendly community, and everybody is always here to help. And I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.
Thanks a lot, Guy. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.